Hello everybody, it's CountMRVHS and welcome back to episode 2 of our Inheritance run with the Spanish on the original Medieval Total War. There has been a bit of a hiccup since we ended the last episode. I had a bit of a hang and crash, like sort of a freeze and crash on exiting. And thankfully there was an autosave from just before I clicked end turn the previous year. And so all that changed was that my Crusade looks rather different than it did at the end of the episode. Instead of having a unit of Knights of Santiago and a couple of foot soldiers and a couple of fanatics, I've got no Knights of Santiago, several units of Order foot soldiers, and then like 5 units of fanatics. So that is the only thing that is different. Everything else seemed to go just about exactly the same. There was one trait that was different, and I can't remember what it was at this point, but someone picked up a trait that was not what they got the first time around, and I guess that just happens when you do a reload. So that may have to happen, every now and then, but I think where we had a particularly long episode 1, I think that was the issue there. But I'm all caught up. I've got my ridiculous family tree all sketched out, and what I'm waiting to do is to determine which one of these guys is going to be the new heir when the current king dies, which is going to be in this episode. King Alfonso VI is 57, and his son, Prince Alfonso, is 42, and hopefully some of these kids are his son's kids, because otherwise he's going to have to start having kids, at the age of 45 or something. And we hope that doesn't happen, because that can lead to civil wars and all sorts of unfortunate things. But if we see one of these lower down sons start to take the red, which indicates the direct heir, then we will know that that person is the son of the current king, Alfonso VII, who is what he will be. So anyway, we've got that in mind, and we are just about to hit end turn and see how our crusade goes into Cordoba. The thing I love about playing this game is that this is on expert, by the way. This is the hardest difficulty. Not that it's particularly challenging most of the time, but you have these super long moments where we had about 50 years or so of no wars between us and any other faction. And in fact, I started this war. Now, that could have gone very, very differently if I had instead started off attacking major factions, and if I'd been conquering rapidly. Even if I had just been conquering a lot of nearby rebel provinces, I think I would have gotten attacked. But because I took Navarre very kind of slowly, eventually I bribed Valencia, and I left Portugal rebel for a while, which attracted the attention of the Almohads here. The other factions are just kind of content to let me chill out and build. So you can actually get a lot of mileage out of moments of peace in this game, which is really quite nice. I saw on the old TotalWar.org forums, not that the forums themselves are old, although they are, but they are still, every now and then you'll see people posting in them. But looking at 20 plus years old posts from the devs of this game, talking about what does the AI get versus the player, what kind of cheats do they get? They get some money. That's about it. My understanding is there's not really a like a tall poppy syndrome built in to the game per se. It's just that the AI is trying to win, and if you are there is a tall poppy syndrome, but it's not an anti-human player syndrome. That's what I mean. If you get big, right, and if you look like you are going to win the game, then the AI is going to go nuts for you, which is why it's a little predictable and kind of boring, in my opinion, to play the conquest mode, because eventually you're going to get to that point, and you'll have rebellions, and you'll have people dropping their alliances and attacking you. With Glorious Achievements mode, you can remain kind of small and try these targeted expansions and have a relatively peaceful game. So it's great in a game where there are so few diplomacy options for you to be able to kind of manage it. But as we're seeing here, the Almohads are retreating. Now, what I'm curious about is, are they going to quit the province altogether? I don't see their king. He may have moved out to Grenada like a jerk. Yep, it's under siege. Okay. Okay, so we've got another offer here. This is someone wanting to marry one of my princesses. This is the Byzantines. Now, the interesting thing about this is if we agree to it, I believe this will mean that we are allied with the Byzantines. You'll remember maybe from the first episode when we requested a marriage. We did exactly the same thing here, but in reverse. We asked the AI for a princess, just like the AI is asking me for a princess. We did it to Germany. We got the princess, but there was no alliance between us and the Germans. If it goes the other way, if the AI approaches you, the alliance does form. So it's an interesting thing that it doesn't work both directions the same way. What that can mean for you, if you are, concerned about having enough princesses and heirs and so on to keep your dynasty going, is that I guess you could just not ally with a faction. Like the Germans wanted to ally with me, I refused. Then I asked for a princess. They said, yes, thank you. We were still not allied. So I could probably have kept asking them for princesses, over the decades. At a certain point, maybe they would have gotten wise to it, but that's, I guess, just an option. Okay, so do I want to lose a princess? I've got a ton of princesses in my family tree, so I arguably don't need her for like spying purposes. So the question is, do I want to... I don't know what this is going to do diplomatically. It's probably going to mean that they drop their alliance with the Almohads. So I'd be allied with the Byzantines. They're allied with a lot of my friends right now. Well, two. They're allied with both of my other allies. And they're at war with the Turks. The Turks, I can see on the minimap here, have taken Georgia from the Byzantines. So that's kind of a good sign. They don't usually do that well. I'm going to say no. I just don't see the benefit just yet. I don't feel like I need the Byzantines as an ally, and I want to kind of keep my hand free. In fact, okay. All right, so Aragon stuck with me. So Aragon was allied to the Almohads as well as to me, and when I attacked them, they said, you know what? We're going to stay with you, which is awesome news. And then the same thing with the Germans. The Holy Roman Empire have stuck with us. Great, great, great news. Okay, I have no idea where the Caliph is of the Almohads. He can't be in the castle. They entirely vacate if that's what they're going to do. So he must have been whisked away. Maybe he died of an illness. He's got to be in one of these two provinces, or I guess he could be in Cyrenaica because they do start with that in early, although he is at war with Egypt, so who knows how that could be going, right? They could be doing really well. They may have conquered Egypt, although I think that unlikely. More likely, in my opinion, Egypt attacked Cyrenaica, took it, and now the Almohads are kind of freaking out. All right, but this is not good. I was hoping that if they were going to vacate the province, they would just do it south rather than going to Portugal. Although these armies are not terribly intimidating, there are a lot of them. Loyalty is great for them right now. This is only going to hold out for 1 year, so I could really just hang out here. The annoying thing is, if you spend time in a province with a crusade of your own, it will start to take men from your own stacks. So there's almost an incentive for me to assault here, even though I don't think that the AI is actually going to allow me to do that. All right, you know what? Let's add an archer unit to Leon because I'm a bit concerned there. Let's move the urban militia down. I think Aragon is going to be reasonable. Let's get another bishop so I can keep getting eyes all over the Iberian Peninsula and North Africa and decide, do I want to assault? I've got a couple of catapults here. I brought 1, 2 with me, and I've got enough fanatics. You know, I've got these bodies that I could just throw at the walls. This is just a castle. One thing that I'm not sure of is if it's better for the infrastructure for me to assault the castle and end the siege right away, or to wait and let them starve out. You know, which one is going to preserve more of this stuff? Because I would like all of these things, even if it just means, you know, destroying some of them. But I could make use of all of these things. Let's go ahead and queue up an assault. Just for the annoyance of having the Crusade sucking up my other troops. All right, we've got a bishop coming there. I do have another archer I could train here, so let's actually do that. We're building the monastery in Castile. It's going to give us inquisitors. We get an armory going in Leon. We've got a shipwright. Next turn we'll be done with that in Valencia. We can start getting trade. In Navarre we're doing nothing because there's really no point in building that up. We've got an inn. Keeping the infrastructure in a province low is actually going to help draw mercenaries to your province where you have an inn. So it's a good idea to sort of keep it like that. Okay, but I guess that's it. Let's move you over to Trebizond, you up to Rum again. Let's see. Okay, so France has moved into Friesland. Now, we may just be counterattacked by Aragon regardless. Oh, sorry, by the Almohads. I'm going to make that mistake again, for sure. Okay, we are counterattacked. That's fine. I'd rather deal with a sally anyway. And this looks particularly lame, so I think we'll be fine. We do have a lot of Almohad urban militia. We've got, well, 4 units. Some camels. Really, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 archer units, 6 archer units, Gulam bodyguards. This does not look bad. So I think I'll keep my catapults out. May as well use them, right? We'll keep the king out for sure. I think I will keep his heir as a reinforcing unit, but otherwise I think all of this stuff is good to go. We're going to want to spend those mercenaries. We do only have 2 archers. So it might be good to have you up here. 4 Jeannettes, though. That'll be good. So my cav can take care of their archers, except for the the camels being annoying. What we will have is relatively quickly we'll be able to call up reinforcements, because the way the game works is when you have a unit that's routed off the field, you got to make space for your units. You can only have, what is it, 16 on the map at any one time. And so that means that one of those units has to withdraw or be routed or eliminated completely off the field. Now, in our case, we've got 2 units of catapults, which are very small crew sizes, and we're going to determine relatively quickly when it's no longer useful to have them. Right? And that's going to happen pretty fast. So what we want to do is sort of set up close to the edge of the map where our reinforcements are going to come from. Alright, unfortunately the trees I think are not great for catapults and things, but we'll place them anyway. This is actually a really nice defending map. Okay, so yes, catapults. Let's put one. I don't want them this far down, I think, but maybe that's okay. Okay, we've got our Almohad urban militia up here. We could take a closer look at the units, as close as you can get in this game. It's not super advanced, but you can see the sword and the shield here. We've got our Vikings with their axe. We've got our Order foot soldiers, 1, 2, 3 units making up the middle. And then we've got some urban militia on our right, and that's pretty much it. So it's a fairly light line. Javelins and our 2 archers are in the rear. Where's the second? Okay, they're both right there. There's the king. Okay, we'll just go with that. Let's make sure these guys are on fire at will. And they are not. So there we go. One of these catapults is hiding, actually, which is pretty great. And we're almost within firing range. So we're going to get a couple of shots, and then we're going to withdraw them off the field. So what we do want to do is set up the assembly point flag. I'm going to put that right here where the king is. So that's where the reinforcements are going to come from. Alright. There we go. And look how far. Look how far off. We got both of them shooting. The archers are going to get more kills on our catapults than our catapults do. So, that's alright. It's probably wise of them to do this. Oh, what did we do? Did we get a guy? No, it landed right in the middle of the unit without causing any casualties. And we're pretty soon, they're going to get too close to us for us to do any damage. Alright, let's withdraw both of these units right now. What jerks, they just pushed my, my catapults away. That's fine. They're going to get up to the trees. We're going to start shooting at them. We're not going to do a lot of damage, but then neither are they. So that means in a couple of minutes, we're going to have another full unit of archers and a unit of fanatics, which we can use kind of however we want. It would have been nice if they'd all come, right? We would have gotten some casualties with the catapult. But they, I think what they were doing there, a lot of our units were hidden. And if we were on, like, that hill, they would have all sort of come towards us. So it's not that they were super intelligent here, it was just the AI will send out one unit to scout. And once they kind of figured out that we were up on this hill, they turned around, so. Where's our catapult crew? It takes them longer than you would think to get off the map, so that's okay. Now, being in the trees like this, we're not getting, like, a lot of our bonuses for our spear units. So that is, you know, I guess a problem. And our cavalry, too. So I should probably just come down off this hill, more than I think about it. But we're kind of outnumbered, too. These are just Berber camels, so they're going to, you know, shoot at us, basically. And maybe they will try to charge at some point. Alright, so let's get the Vikings down here. I could have better targets. And basically just start charging with the left. Bring the Jeannettes down. Okay, you and you. And I don't think there's any camels on this side, so we can run down here. I want them off skirmish, actually. Yeah, they're just getting some shots at our other Jeannettes, but I think I want to leave them here, if nothing else, just to protect the king. Oh, I've got another unit right here. Okay, fine. We'll take all three. Okay, that noise was the noise of a unit leaving, and there's another one. So it's a little annoying in the middle of battle to try to keep track of all of that. Okay, we're winning slightly. Alright, they're coming right in. I'm just going to ignore them. We'll get some reinforcements in a bit. Okay. It was their Ghulam bodyguard, who's probably a leftover prince. Alright, now I don't think they have a ton of, like, reinforcements. So I can probably afford to just chase them. The urban militia got completely wiped out. Almost completely, but they're still, you know, technically winning. Okay, bring you down. I see the archers. I see the fanatics. Making their way slowly. Actually, did we lose a unit, like, entirely? I guess it was an urban militia that got wiped out. Alright, we'll bring you back over to this side. The camels are going to be annoying to get rid of, so let's bring the archers, like, right here. There's 5 Gulam bodyguards, but, you know, we've got Vikings over here. We've got a lot of things in our favor, so I think we should be fine. Let's go ahead and see if we can throw some javelins to get a few kills. Not yet. Archers are shooting at us. There go 2 or... Yep, 2 of them. There's a third. Alright, great. Jeanettes are really fun to use. They're not always, you know, easy to use. Right, we've got more of them here, so let's just keep up the pressure, and I'll just kind of keep an eye on the hillside. All right, are you guys withdrawing? Because that would be great. Yeah. It's like they're just leaving, and 3 urban militia marching. Alright, this looks like reinforcements to me. Let's just go right in here. I'm not worried. Maybe I should be a little more careful, but let's charge in. There's some peasants. The whole army basically is routing at this point. Hopefully the urban militia will follow. Alright, let's go ahead and shoot him then. This is the great thing, because if you don't have these guys... Well, for one thing, these guys have been on fire at will this whole time. It's just that their range is so short that they're not going to fire at anything if they're also skirmishing. So it's very, very rare that they're going to use their ammunition. Even though I think each man carries like 4 javelins. It's not a lot. Maybe it's more than that. It kind of seems like it is. I think the trees are hurting our aim a little bit. Alright, let's just go in. There they go. What do we have here? More camels. 11 desert archers. Okay, the camels are annoying. Alright, order foot soldiers. Let's go and just push the camels with that unit. Vikings can go up here. 11 Berber camels. Okay, let's just ignore them. Go up for the desert archers. I've got other Jeanettes coming, so we can go and put you guys on camel duty. What was that route? Alright, desert archers running away. Great. Berber camels running away. Awesome. And there's the signal for the end of the battle, basically. Alright, we've got 365 captives. So, you know, we could execute them here, or we could try to get a ransom, but yeah, a lot of times the AI won't ransom stuff. Early in a war, though, that's your best chance, because they're not broke yet. But I think the problem is the Almohads are kind of broke. I think they've been, if I had to guess, they've been unsuccessful against Egypt. So those prisoners are essentially gone. They're not coming back to the Almohads, so that's fine. Okay, Cordoba's about to fall. And there's a famine. Alright, the Pope wants an alliance. Well, yeah, sure. And the Egyptians want an alliance. That's interesting. This would be a relatively, I'm going to say no, but it would be sort of an easy one to get, in the sense that it's not going to foul up any inheritance machinations, right, if I just accept that alliance. Because obviously you can't inherit with, or you can't marry any princesses, because there are none in the Muslim factions. Alright, are we, like, in a pose of assaulting the castle? Okay. This actually looks good. We haven't hoovered up any of our guys. Probably because we're not in our own province, right? So that actually... Okay, that's actually good. Interesting. Alright, yeah, but let's, what is it? It's about to fall. Okay, so that means one more turn. So if they attack, I don't think that gets them an extra year. I could be wrong there. Let's see. Let's get our bishop down into Grenada. I think I'll just train a couple more bishops, actually. Okay, so Franconia is still rebel. Lorraine, I think, is French. Okay. Everything's fine there. Trebizond is Byzantine. Rum is Turkish. Things are going kind of slow over here. But in terms of money, you know, we're making 400. It's not great. So let's get started on this. If I go with a bark, this is a relatively decent ship. It's got attack 1, defense 2, speed 3. Support costs are 20. Support costs are going to get better as our ships get better, actually. But we won't get better ships for a while. I think there needs to be a particular event. So let's just get going on some barks. They are expensive, and it takes 3 years to build one. But you can see all those ports right around the Ligurian Sea, right next to Italy. You want to find a place with a lot of ports on a single sea region, which makes having the ships in the sea there worth it. So this is interesting to see. The Turks are actually kind of winning. My gosh. Alright, well, they're winning this battle. The Byzantines have withdrawn, but they're probably just going to regroup and kick them out next year. But still, this is nice to see. Alright, and we've got our crusade. Awesome. Okay, the Pope wants a crusade against the Germans. Alright, interesting. You know, I kind of hope the Crusades work well. I am not going to be participating in that because I'm allied with the Germans. Okay, and we pillaged a bunch of money. All right, this is the guy who took over for El Cid, I believe. Prince Fernando's a thinker. That's good. And Don Enrique de Olivares is strange. Not good. So what I'd like to see happen up with Germany is them to get wiped out and we inherit some land, right? They've got a couple of provinces at least. They are at war with the Italians and the Polish, and maybe they are soon to be at war with some other Catholic factions like the French, who could also crusade against them. Maybe the Aragonese will get up and do something with all of these royal knights, but probably not. They probably won't be crusading into Germany. But if some other crusader takes out the emperor, then maybe I could inherit. But, you know, the trick there is, though, the Germans will just re-elect an emperor, right? Like, they don't need heirs. So, in retrospect, hanging my hopes on inheriting Germany is kind of foolish. But again, it doesn't matter. We're so early in the game that it doesn't really matter because we're not going to inherit regardless of what we do at this point. Okay. So, Cordoba. I've got a bishop here. No, I don't, actually. This guy's headed down to Grenada, so I'll move you down. And it is a little awkward, because now we have to defend... you know, Cordoba is good. We want to keep it, you know, well-manned against Morocco and Grenada, but also Portugal, right? And then we also have to defend Leon. So the question is, do we move into Portugal? Or do we just kind of hold here? They can't do anything with Portugal yet. I mean, maybe they can train those urban militia out of the fort. Oh no, it's this. It's the town watch. So they can train a lot more of these guys, which are pretty tough. But I do have, like, almost a full stack. Granted, one unit is peasants. So what I probably want to do is move you like into Castile, like a place I'm not too worried about, but it might be nice to have just to dissuade Aragon. And we'll replace that unit with something else. I guess I'd like an even 4 archers, so that'll be good. And we'll eventually get like some spearmen here. In terms of building, let's see what we can do in Valencia. Our income is so low at this point, so that it might make sense to do that. So Valencia's feeling a bit safer, because now it only borders Aragon. And we've got like a decent army here. So maybe farms would be good. This is currently making 648. If we do this, it'll be 751. So it's 100. It costs 1,000. So that means in 10 years it'll pay for itself. So it's probably good to do this now rather than later. And we can't really build anything anywhere else anyway. But okay, Cordoba gives us some new options. So we can get militia sergeants here, which are like a sort of an upgraded urban militia. The difference is that these guys have armor, which is not entirely a good thing if you're fighting in the desert, of course. And these guys don't have much armor at all, or any. So you do want to be a little careful about how you use them. They're both kind of useful in different situations. I'm not going to train any just yet, though, because I think we've got enough stuff. But let's go for a watchtower. And what else do they have? Oh, they give the chancellery. All right. So this is responsible for government business except the military. So we've got a title here for Duke of Cordoba, and then we've got the Keeper of the Privy Seal, which is 3 loyalty, 1 acumen, 1 command star. All right. So who do I want? I think you're my guy. You're my guy for both of these things. 4 quills of acumen. Okay, strange. Never mind. Damn. All right. Any other likely-looking candidates? That's a prince. That guy already has a title. You've got 3 command. I'd like to give it to someone who has a bunch of stars. Or at least, 1. And then we could give him an even star. So I'll wait for both of these titles. I think we'll be fine. But I may as well raise the taxes, right? Where money is so low, I am going to do that. Although I have heard that keeping taxes low may help you inherit. Again, this is old ancient wives' tale stuff from forums that are older now than probably my audience. So I'm not sure how any of that is trustworthy. Princess becomes spinster. Okay, so Teresa's gone. She's back at a nunnery. And the Aragonese are the happiest. Got just 1 place. Okay, yep. So this guy is now crack-brained. This is just going to get worse and worse. And it's bad. It's bad for the province that he is a governor of, potentially, because it decreases happiness. It's worse for morale, I think, because you can usually keep public order pretty well under control in this game. Well, this guy's just getting better and better. All right, yeah, so the Germans do have some land left. Okay, and we got now bishops just about everywhere I really want them, but let's go to Tunisia with 1 because I'd like to see where the Egyptians might be. We'll send the princess to North Africa. Okay, we got the armory done, and next turn we will have the option to train inquisitors, and we'll see what that +1 valor bonus does for them. Let's see, though. I've got an emissary here who's got, what has he got? 2 stars, so that's probably good for quite some time. Eventually I'll want like another 1 or 2 so I can, corner princesses and things. But yeah, let's get another bishop. These agents are going to just be really useful. All right, 1 more turn for a ship. And I could queue up another crusade. I'm going to give it a little while. It's risky to sit around with a crusade in your province. I don't necessarily want to take Portugal too early is the issue here. I know they're an enemy. I know that theoretically they're only going to get stronger, but I'd like them to build it up more before I take it. If I can take this with some infrastructure already in place, that just makes it easier for me to hold it, because this is, I think, like one of, if not the most rebellious provinces on the map. And you saw how hard it was for them to hold it. And, you know, granted, there was, I think, high Catholicism at the time. I think there still is, but it's gradually becoming more Muslim because they've owned it for a while now. So, you know, I'd like there to be more stuff in here so I can take advantage of it. So I'm going to wait. If it looks like they're doing nothing with it, then I will build a crusade marker and we will get that. Now let's check out his influence, because we just got a successful crusade. We're at 6. So I think that is from the crusade. We were up to 5, I think, at the end of the last episode. And that crusade seems to have put us over the top. It's sometimes hard to tell, though, because it could be just the fact that we have, you know, taken another province. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I think Cordoba is, it doesn't have any bonuses for units. So I think this would be a really good place to train up assassins, right? We don't have any taverns yet. And here we've got a keep. And this would be a great place for agents, right? This also doesn't have iron, so I'm less disposed to go for troops, unlike with Castile, which does. Now, I know I said in the last episode that I was going to do agents out of here, but I think we'll keep it like church agents, and we will, because this metalsmith is really valuable, right? Like, this doesn't hurt their armor, so what we could do is make this Castile the province for, like, attack guys, and Leon the province for armor and attack guys, because this also has iron. And so this would be for troops that we're going to use in the desert, and this, you know, kind of not so much, but a little bit of both. And Cordoba will be the fiery Spanish assassins, right? As well as trade and ships and things. So let's do that right away. Let's get our tavern, and then eventually we're going to get assassins and spies, and it's going to be great. Okay, but I think I do want to try for another high command noble type unit that I could give the governance of Cordoba to. Let's see how Trebizond is doing. Wow, the Turks are still going. Oh, okay. It was just a feint. Alright, Holy Roman Emperor has died from an illness. A new emperor has been elected. And there's the monastery in Castile. And they've still got Trebizond. Wow. Alright, let's go to Anatolia again. And now I'm kind of curious what Constantinople looks like, because Trebizond leads directly to it. All right, here's the Germans looking fairly strong, and what they've got, oh, this is interesting, a bunch of Genoese sailors. So it's an interesting unit. You know, this game did not give you all of the information about the units like the later games do, and it didn't even tell you like all that much, to be quite honest. But you can kind of tell, right? Like based on the text here. So these guys are fast, whereas these guys have a very weak attack. So I'm not sure which, you know, like, are these guys good in attack? Are they okay? They are fast moving and lightly armored, but not equipped to fight hand to hand except as a last resort. I don't know. Whereas these guys are supposedly really bad in attack. In Genoa, you're going to get a valor bonus for these guys, I believe. And I believe also they can only be trained there, or maybe you train them out of Burgundy. No, that doesn't make sense. The Germans can't get them in Burgundy. So the Germans must own Genoa then, which is really interesting. Let's go down south. I had assumed that the Italians were beating up the Germans so badly. But now I'm wondering if this is probably why the Germans are excommunicated, right? Because they may have started a war down in Italy, which is very historical. Okay, we've got a ship. Awesome. So we get over here. We do this a couple more times. Right? And then we've got our unbroken line of ships from our port with a trading post exporting silk to these provinces. Probably not Genoa, though, because I think it also has silk. But eventually we'll get to trade other things like wool and, you know, more silk, but also hides in Cordoba. So you want some variety in trade goods. There's a lot of silk around this part of the Mediterranean. All right. Here's our Inquisitor. It is an Inquisitor's calling to root out heresy and dissent in the Catholic flock. His presence in a province reduces heresy and can cow the whole population thanks to his harsh reputation. So this will be an interesting, run to see how Inquisitors work. We're going to be hopefully counting on them to eliminate royal families who we've married into, and I hope that that works out. We're also going to try, assassins, but we're going to try a bit of both. And Inquisitors have some very interesting properties in this game, and I'm not 100% sure how they work. If you leave them sitting in a province, they will affect the zeal of that province. Now, every province has like some kind of hidden cap for its zeal, and once it gets to that cap, people will go nuts and they will start like a riot. And I don't know what that means, quite honestly, because it's not a rebellion. You don't get a rebellion when you have an inquisition that gets out of hand like that. It's just a message that appears, and the zeal goes down afterwards. Because basically the Inquisitor's there, he's sort of whipping people up into a frenzy, and then they just go crazy and, whatever. But it's not something that has an effect on your buildings. Like, you don't get any damaged or destroyed buildings. I don't think it has an impact on your economy. It may have an impact on the loyalty or the happiness of the province, but I've not been able to verify that, at least as far as I remember, because usually in your own provinces you've got a pretty high loyalty, right? And you're also trying to do Inquisition stuff in other provinces. So it's a little weird. Maybe there's a way we can game this. One thing that you could do is use Inquisitors to raise zeal in provinces that your Crusades are going to move through, so that more of the troops in those provinces will join the Crusade. So that's a very fun mechanic. I almost never get to play with that because you just send Crusades and you don't usually think about exactly, prepping the ground for them with Inquisitors, because you don't know exactly what path your Crusades are going to take, and you can't control it very much. So there are these complications. And furthermore, you don't necessarily want a lot of troops in your armies joining your Crusades, because you can just drop them in the Crusade if you want them to join. You don't need the units to be siphoned off awkwardly, and we'll see what that looks like as the game goes on, I guess. I guess there's also a sort of an inverted purpose in using Inquisitors to have an Inquisition running rampant, in the sense that will lower the zeal in your province, and if there's a rival Crusade moving through your province, you might want to have less zeal so that fewer of your troops join. Anyway, there's all of that, and so we'll have to, I guess, make some considerations. Okay, so they're training peasants out of here. This is not looking good. I think I'm going to hold off for a little while. We're going to get trade established because I'm going to need enough money to build another boat. And then a Crusade is going to cost 1,000, and then it's going to cost money to call the Crusade as well. So I think we're just going to sit tight there, because otherwise I'm a little worried about how our funding is going to look. All right, there's 4 Jeanettes. Let's bring you down here. It's probably Jeanette overkill. I mean, we could also do things like, this is making a lot of money. We could go for this, but again, it costs 1,000. So let's just wait, kind of scrape by. Germans are the strongest. So it's very interesting how they're the first ones to undergo a civil war. They're excommunicated. They seem to be getting beaten up, but they're doing very well. Okay, this is Prince Ferdinand. Ferdinand has matured. Ferdinand has matured. Okay, so we will have to get eyes on him and see if he is the new... No, he's not the new heir because I've got an heir already. But the old king is still alive. So when he dies, I think all of the relationships between my various heirs is going to be clear. Okay, so he's loyal. That's good. He's strange, but at least he's loyal. And Prince Ferdinand, look at this guy. 1, 2, 3, 6 stars just out of the gate. Another secret blackmailer, killer instinct kind of guy. So some good and some bad. Killer instinct is awesome. He has a talent for killing, making him quite effective on the battlefield, and discomfiting those who stand against him. So +2 valor, +1 dread. The dread has no battlefield effect, by the way. It's just, if he's the governor of a province, they're going to be scared of him. So that's a good thing, you know, in terms of keeping order under control. Loyalty looks great. All right, yep. Prince Ferdinand. And then we've got Pedro coming of age in a few years. But meanwhile, Alfonso VI is 63. It's absolutely insane. Okay, we're making very, very little money. But we're kind of holding even. So let's... That would go from 736 to 856. 120 is a really nice return. So let's do that. It's going to hurt. Yeah, there's more peasants. Okay, so they're scared. They're training lots of peasants down here. Very, very nice. All right, here we've got Egypt. Yep, moving in. So they've taken Cyrenatia. Our princess is going to see exactly what that looks like. But the poor Almohads didn't even have a chance to build this up at all. They've got a port. No trade goods here, but they do have gold deposits. So this could be a kind of a nice province eventually. It's famous for its dhows, so it's you know, that's a sort of a low-level ship for the Muslim factions. And Egypt is coming in with some kind of good units. Nubian spearmen, Bedouin camel warriors, Saharan cav. So they are not going to get dislodged. Let's go to Algeria. All right, so the Germans are retreating to the keep in Venice. So something I didn't notice, the Germans owned Venice. And the Italians have just taken it back, at least invaded it. All right, making 231. One more turn, I'll have another ship. So this could be a good time, theoretically, to move a ship that way. But realistically, it's just going to make for higher upkeep costs. The upkeep costs for this ship right now are 20. And if I move them there, they're going to go up to, I think, 40. So given that my money is so bad, I may just keep it here for a little while. And maybe in the meantime, they'll get a port. But look at this. We've got a civil war. So this is... Let's let the tooltip come back here. Rebel army. Okay, so this might just be a rebellion. But if you have a spy close by... Okay, so it doesn't say this is a rebel army. Yes, it does. This army belongs to the rebel faction in the current civil war. So this gives us information. Provence, unfortunately... Let's see, this is an enemy unit, right? Am I at war with them? No, I'm neutral with the rebels. Oh, that's great news, actually. So I could trade with them. No trade goods there, so they'd be happy to accept my silk. Alright, let's take a look. Do we have a valor bonus? And we actually have 2. So there's 2 stars. So... if nothing else, I don't know what this valor does, to be perfectly honest. Does it improve their odds of, burning someone at a stake? Does it improve their increase of zeal or anything like that? Or does it, as I'm afraid, simply make them a tougher target for enemy assassins? That may be all there is to it. But at least that's there. So here's what we could do. We could drop this on a unit, and it'll give us a percentage as to how likely we are to, eliminate this unit that we are trying for heresy. So 0% chance right there. So this is a 2-star Inquisitor. What about this guy? That's 13%. So it's very low odds, even with 2 stars. And again, I don't know if the stars matter at all. But this is a guy who's got 5 piety. That's pretty decent. And this is a king, right? Kings, royal families are difficult. This guy has 6 piety. Let's see how hard he would be. Probably 10%? 12%. Okay, so each point of piety is what, like 1 extra percentage of difficulty? I'll have to give that some thought. But for now, let's move up to, I guess, Tuscany and see how that looks. I'm sure that they're going to just take Provence. That's fine. Actually, I'm curious about Toulouse, because this could be sort of a weird place. This is isolated from the rest of the French domains initially, and since the French are not at war with the English, but in fact allied, and I think the Germans still have Burgundy, that must mean that this is still French or a rebel province. So it can get fairly interesting. Let's go with some restraint this turn. We'll try that, because next turn we're going to need to build another bark and then make some money. So, yep, there's Cordoba. There's the, not Cordoba, but Cyrenacia. This is the Sultan of the Egyptians, 49. He's not looking too great, but he doesn't have to be great. He's got Egypt and all of that sort of corner of the Middle East. It's pretty wealthy land. Okay, the French moving in on the Civil War. Good to see. Alright, but they can't make it. Interesting. And the Almohad Khalifa has died, and the Germans excommunicated again. So, when the faction leader dies, the new faction leader gets the sort of the old sins kind of wiped clean. But not if you keep attacking Catholic factions, evidently. So, Tavern is completed. Alright, the Almohads want peace. This is so rare that I'm actually kind of considering just going with it. I mean, this could allow me... Oh, look how bad they are. Yeah, I'm going to accept this. So, they're in a bad position now because their Caliph is isolated from the rest of his realm. So Tunisia's fallen, and I don't know why he's over here. Like, I don't know why he's not in Morocco. It's got a castle. But this will allow them maybe to keep building this up. And I can do things like Crusade against Egypt. What I'm hoping, I guess, in a sense, is that Egypt comes over here, and then I can just crusade against them and keep, like, trade, I guess, with the Almohads. So we shall see. We need to get another boat, and in 3 turns, in like 2 turns, I'll want to start moving boats this way, so we can start trading as soon as possible. We've got a 3-star emissary there. This is so unfortunate. Alfonso is 50 years old, and he's just waiting for his father to die. 65. Okay, we've got assassins. So let's start kind of queuing up some of those. That's going to take all of my my income. One thing that we can do eventually is upgrade this building. We can go up to, what is it, 3 or 4 levels? We can get it up to, like, +3 assassins or something like that right out of the gate. So we're going to want to build those buildings. But yeah, I don't feel like we can really afford to build much else, except maybe this. I don't remember where the port appears, and it actually does matter a great deal, because if the port appears here, we're going to need a ship in the Straits of Gibraltar to link that to our trading routes. But if it appears here, as I suspect it may, then we don't need an extra ship, and we'll be able to benefit from the stuff that we're trading towards Italy. So that would be great, but that trading post by itself is going to make us a tiny bit of money anyway. All right, Germans coming down into Venice again, and the Pope wants the support. Yeah. I mean, at some point we may take him up on that. Okay, so we go like this. And then next turn we've got one turn, and then we do that, and then we're trading. So far, none of these guys... Okay, you've got 2 commands, so that's good to know. I think I'll keep you close to the homeland. And we've got 1,000 florins, so I better sit tight. One thing you can do, though, with the assassins is put them in a province with a port, and they will act as counter spies as long as you don't have border forts built, which is why I'm not building these things, because they will get the credit for killing any enemy assassins or spies. All right, now let's check the zeal here. This guy's been here for a little while. It was 63 or 65. Now it's up to 67. So I'm just going to let him sit, and we'll see what happens. Now, there is also a bishop here, so I should probably move the bishop out, because my understanding is that bishops have a dampening effect on Inquisitors' activities. It may be that they keep the zeal down. I'm not sure. But let's just do this. We'll move a bishop here, 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 and there. All right, and the Byzantines look fine. I don't want alliance with the Egyptians, because I imagine we're going to be crusading over there at some point. I wouldn't mind them getting strong enough to be a problem for the Byzantines or eventually the Mongols. And then eventually we can, you know, kind of crusade against them. Let's see. We've got Prince Gark, who is now crack-brained but also believer. That's okay. He's pretty far down the food chain in terms of heirs. This guy's an unhinged loon, -3 morale. It's terrible. Alfonso VI is a magnificent builder, great, +2 loyalty to everybody. That's just going to be harder when he dies, like, next year, right? Because everyone's going to lose that +2 loyalty. And then Lord Justios, steward and a great builder, so that's awesome. All right, but shockingly, the Turks have managed to hold on to Trebizond. I mean, they're not looking super strong, but they have done it. All right, now let's check out our glorious achievements, which is just an abject failure. This is the worst I think I've ever done in any GA game. We are, like, so far below. So Aragon is beating us. The Aragonese are winning in glorious achievements, but they get a lot. Look at it. They get they get that much for homelands. What do we get? Okay, now we're getting the points. Leon and Castile are each now worth 4. Interesting. So, again, the thing I like about GA mode is that the developers who set it up are trying, I think, to give suggestions of historical events. And the idea was, in my mind, that the Spanish, or at least the faction that is represented in this game by the Spanish, were not super strong early on, but they got stronger over time. They had more territory, and that's reflected by the increase in homelands and homeland points, and it sort of nudges the player, but also the AI, to go after these goals, because they do eventually work towards those goals. So, all right, still got the 2 for 1 for conquest. All right, well, now, you know, Portugal, it was never worth, it's still giving me just 1 point, so I don't feel too bad about not going after it. Okay, so now is the time when we want to move the ship over and over, and I'm a little concerned because Italy here, let's see if our port's making us any money. We've got these ships I think Italy owns Corsica, but they don't. This doesn't produce any trade goods, nor does Sardinia. So for Italy to be exporting to us, they would have to own, well, the Papal States, I guess, or Croatia, basically someplace with a port and trade goods. So maybe they own Genoa, right? But I don't think they do. I think Germany does. So I think we're going to get a whole lot of nothing. Let's see. Yeah, it's making us no money. So the Italians just have ships, which are doing them no good except draining their resources. But they are probably going to be used against us in the not-too-distant future. Alright, another King of Aragon dies, but our king is still alive. Italian Doge dies, and we've got Prince Pedro. Your monarch's virility is now legendary, as his 6 sons testify. Use them well in battle. Alright, well, Prince Gark is an unhinged loon. We got some bad family traits here, but Pedro actually has some good ones. Materialist, +1 acumen, and natural leader. So, let's see, there's Pedro, 16. My gosh. You guys are fantastic. And your dad is 68 years old. Alright, let's see how our income's doing. I think we're trading. And the way we can know that is we can go over Valencia. And we can see that there is a trading income column. And we can click this, actually. We can left click. And it'll give you a bit of a breakdown of your trade. Nothing really tells you this. It doesn't say, you know, left click here. But if you click the city in your economy tab, it'll bring up another window to show you what kind of trade it's doing. Here we've just got 39 gold for local trade, but we're also exporting silk to Provence and to Corsica, but not to Genoa, which, although it is held by rebels, and we are neutral with the rebels, therefore could trade with them, Genoa produces silk, so they don't want any of ours. So, very interesting how rebellious this is. And if I were playing, you know, a more expansionist kind of game, I would really be thinking about how to grab some of this territory for myself, because Genoa is doing me no good, so I may as well get the monopoly on the silk trade, right? Capture this, get the unique unit, the Genoese sailors. Good province, but I'm not going to do that in this game. We're going to try to stay small, try to stay attractive to the other factions, and try to stay peaceful. Okay, we've got... Okay, we didn't start building a port in Cordoba because I didn't have money, really, for it. Let's go with this because this is a sure thing. 600 florins, 2 years, and that's going to get us, you know, a couple hundred anyway. Alright, the Almohads are not done yet. They're trying to take Tunisia. Okay. The Polish are trying to get an alliance with, a marriage with Fernando, who is my 3rd son. And I'm going to just X that out. We're going to have to wait because there's going to be some, hopefully there's some young son of my current heir. Where is my current heir? Right here. Prince Alfonso, 54. Hopefully he's got a son who we can get married. But we don't want any marriage offers going to sons that we don't need, basically. So let's get an emissary. I have a feeling we're going to need to start looking for princesses very quickly. And we could also start working up our assassins. So he's going for Cordoba. He's going for my king. So this should be a safe one. It's 83%, so the odds are not ideal. But if we kill him, we probably get a point of valor for our assassin. Okay, Egyptians take Algeria. Okay, let's say no. Just gonna take our assassin. Unfortunately, the assassin didn't move with the emissary, with his target. But he'll get there, or he'll try to get there next turn. 70-year-old king. Okay, let's go down to Anatolia. Let's just kind of move around the Middle East. Because Egypt looks like they're doing very well, but they're also not fielding stuff that's too scary. So I think the Almohads could potentially take this back, but more to the point, I could deal with it. Here we go. He lived to 70 or maybe 71, but our king is now dead, Alfonso VI. Long live Alfonso VII. Oh, not too long, though. He's already like 54 years old. We lost Teresa, and the Egyptians are the strongest. It's not surprising. Prince Fernando got the deep thinker trait, and interestingly, my king was crowned in Leon, which I don't understand why. Okay, yes, I remember. It's because Leon has more buildings than Castile. If you look at the bottom here, see how many buildings we've got? Castile has one fewer. So it's not about the highest tech, although those usually go kind of hand in hand. It's about how many buildings are down here in the panel. And maybe it counts upgrades also. But anyway, so that's where we're crowning. Nice thing about that, I guess, is that he's got benefit from the armorer building there. He is 56. Now, when the game first released, or maybe when Viking Invasion came out, there was a bug whereby your kings would always die exactly at age 56. They would either get to 56 and then die, or die just before reaching it. And this was eventually, thankfully, patched out. But so now, like, I've got a bit of PTSD from that, because I'm always thinking, all right, this is going to be it. But no, he is now taking over the throne at the age at which a king in earlier iterations of the game would be guaranteed to die. So this is not looking good for us at all. He also is not a very high command king. He's also got 2 fewer points of influence. Not surprising, because the other king, his dad, Alfonso VI, had a lot of time to do some conquest, do some crusades. So maybe we will want to crusade with this guy just to work up influence. But I don't want him necessarily where we're going to be fighting, because we've got some excellent generals, and he is not one of them. So let's move him to a place that seems safer, which is Castile. Yeah, and let's move you up here too, because I'm a bit worried about the blackmailer trait. And yeah, you can see now we've got some very disloyal looking guys. Alright, that's somewhat better. But also, this guy now... Oh, that's right, he's an unhinged loon. That's why we didn't want to give him the lordship. Alright. Alright, this is workable. 5 shields is okay. We'll hope that eventually those shields go up. Alright, well, I think this makes a good point for us to sort of end the episode, because we've basically concluded, finally, the reign of our king. Now, annoyingly, that Turkish emissary just moved on into Portugal, probably to take advantage of this port. So the smart thing to do is to cancel the assassination and instead target someone who's here and who doesn't look to be leaving. Same odds, another 0-star emissary, this one of the Almohads, and we'll try to work up some experience there. We're not making a lot of money still. No trade happening with Provence because of the siege there. Yeah, I see that's gone. So this is not the answer to all of our problems, but we could get another ship and then connect it down with this and this, and maybe do some more trade. So we'll have to give it some thought, but before we leave, we do need to check out the heirs tab, because now we see who is taking over. And yeah, okay, so here's what we've got. We've got I think Prince Sancho... So all of these guys, well, maybe the princesses are not included in this, but all of the sons here are sons of Alfonso VI, of their first king. So that means that Alfonso VII here, our current king, has no sons who are currently of age. But he does have some sons coming up the line. So we were not told about them. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we heard about Prince Enrique being born 10 years ago. Maybe I missed it. But I'm going to adjust my family tree here because now we've got an heir. We've got Enrique, who is going to be, I believe, the new heir once he comes of age in 6 years, if he makes it. So this is the thing. You need to live until it's the age of 62 or so before your son can take over for you. And if not, it is going to go to Prince Sancho, who is up here and who is a little disloyal and is married to an Aragonese wife. Alfonso VII is married to a German wife, but again, I don't think that's going to matter at all. But this is very frustrating. Now, thankfully, I guess in a sense, Sancho is married, so he could be having his own kids that won't show up on the heirs tab until he takes over, if he does. So there's a lot going on, and it gets a little difficult to track. But I want some young heirs. So hopefully, Enrique's going to make it before his dad dies, and then we can get him married to one of these likely lasses who are floating around the map. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll stick around for the next one. Until then, everybody, take care.